Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
And I'm Al Reynolds, your host and judge.
Each show, there are 4 celebrity cases, 3 real attorneys, 1 verdict, guilty or not guilty. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
A-listers, come on in. Everybody, come on in. It is June 9th, 2026, which happens to be what? My birthday week. You heard me correctly. It's my birthday week, so we're going to have fun all week. And we're going to also ask all the A-listers that are watching tonight to jump down in that chat and wish me a happy birthday. I usually celebrate from Memorial Day to Labor Day, but I'm getting old, so I'm only going to celebrate for a week now. So this week right here, June 9th to June 18th, we're going to be celebrating Judge of Celebrity Court, Al Reynolds, at the Al Reynolds birthday. So drop down in the chat and wish me a happy birthday. And already, check it out. Already, everybody, we have a super chat from the one, the only Caramel 1977 Cancer. I say it all the time. Thank you so much for your support. If anybody else wants to join in, go ahead and give me a super chat for my birthday. Yes, my birthday is on Saturday, June the 13th. I guess I've done enough promotion on my birthday. Let's move on tonight. As always, we have 4 cases. We have a new human interest story and one question hanging in every headline, and that is, when does celebrity chaos become legal exposure? Well, Megan Thee Stallion found out because she's facing a $1.2 million lawsuit over wardrobe and styling fees. Oh my gosh, no wonder she looks so good spending money like that. And guess what? Now it's receipts versus reputation. Now, also in the celebrity court tonight, we have Diddy's longtime assistant, Kristina Khorram. Ms. Khorram, report to the front of the courtroom, please. Now, Ms. Khorram is denying claims and asked a judge to dismiss the lawsuit. And the legal question here is proximity, participation. Has it been criminal, or was she just doing her job? Next up, we have Nichelle Nichols. Do you remember her? She was on Star Trek. I just remember her being one of the first Black females that you saw on a major television show. Well, guess what, everybody? Her estate has just won a $13 million wrongful death verdict. Ooh, baby, this is hot, and I can't wait till we cover it. A jury putting a price tag on medical accountability. Finally, glad to see that, especially when it comes to the lives of Black and brown women. And last but not least, Chris Brown has responded in a custody battle with his baby mama, Diamond Brown. And family court doesn't care about fame. It cares about structure. And our human interest story, you're going to get a kick out of this. I did. A federal judge accused of having sex in chambers and then lied about it. How she could do that with all that noise. And guess what happened? The discipline was private. We're going to unpack that. That's a justice system headline, and that's celebrity gossip. Remember, this is not a press conference. This is not spin, and this is definitely not mercy, because we don't have to have mercy here in Celebrity Court. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where I bring the mess, my attorneys bring the law, and you, the jury, my A-listers, decide who's embarrassed themselves the most, and you find them guilty or not guilty. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and tonight, the docket is just downright filthy. But before we get into tonight's legal foolishness, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications and jump into those comments, please, because we love it when you participate. If you're watching live, don't forget to tell me where you're watching from, and don't forget to wish me a happy birthday, all right? And, of course, I'm not in the courtroom alone. Joining me tonight are 3 legal minds who know how to cut through celebrity spin. Attorney Carter, Attorney Turner, Attorney Weiss. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You know how it is. Tonight I need clarity. Tonight I need clarity. I need precision. And frankly, I need one of y'all to stop me if I get too messy. In fact, don't do it. All right. To have you, because tonight I'm not just looking for legal analysis. I'm looking for legal reality. I want to hear the truth come out of all of you tonight. And one more thing, we've officially launched the brand new Instagram page for the show. It's at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. This is where the jury keeps talking after the show ends. This is also where we post updates, case clips, and legal mess in real time. So go follow it, please. I'm still looking to get to 200. Tag it and share it, because court may adjourn here, but the public opinion never clocks out. All right, everybody, a legal note. Allegations are not convictions, and everyone discussed tonight is presumed innocent in a court of law. But in this courtroom, we don't care. We are here to examine behavior, optics, exposure, and whether the public has already made up its mind on who we think is guilty or not guilty. All right, let's get this hot mess started. First up, let's go with Stallion. She's facing a $1.2 million lawsuit from wardrobe stylist parties claiming that they weren't paid. They made her pretty, and she didn't pay the ticket. All right, Megan's side is pushing back hard, saying the invoices don't add up, so some of the milk ain't clean. Now, this is the type of case where everyone's talks tough online, but the only thing that matters is the paper. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Break this down for us, Attorney Carter. In a service lawsuit, what becomes the truth serum? Is it the contracts? Is it the meal demos? Is it invoices, memos, texts, proof of delivery? What are we looking for here, counselor?
Oh, it's going to be all those. And let's be clear. This case is fascinating because we finally found out why Klay Thompson started cheating on her. Because she's too expensive to dress. All right? $1.2 million was the bill that these people submitted for a year of dressing her up for the Oscars and all that stuff. Okay? And the thing was amazing to me is that she says, hey, I did not get all this stuff. Y'all are charging me for stuff I would never wear, like drawers. Y'all got underwear on here. Everybody know I don't wear underwear. And so I didn't have to pay all this. And the real question is going to be, obviously, is that who had the receipts? Imagine if they sent this stuff by FedEx, whatever it is that got to her house, there's probably some tracking labels, shipping labels, the receipts they have for the stuff they bought. It's going to be hard, but they probably overbilled a little bit. You throw in a little cushion, and you make sure, she was checking the bill. And so they're probably, it's going to be somewhere in the middle here. But we do know who got out, who won in there is Klay Thompson. Right.
Now, I want to be very clear when I throw to you, Attorney Weiss. This stylist wasn't around just for a little while. This stylist, I don't know if this means a lot to you, but I'm sure my A-listers it will. This stylist was with her throughout her hot girl summer. So all of those looks that you saw throughout all of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2024, all of 2024, in 8 months of 2025 was the look produced by this stylist. So my question is, when the defendant says fraudulent invoices, because that's what she's saying that she doesn't believe the invoices, that who goes back and who determines what was fraudulent and what wasn't?
So it's going to be, look, we have something called discovery in a case, right? So that is, you put all your cards on the table, the other side puts all their cards on the table. You only have certain privileges like attorney-client privilege, or if you're preparing something for litigation, not use of AI, that doesn't count as attorney-client privilege. So what you do is you can say, look, here's the 17 things that you ordered. Here's the 17 things that were delivered. There's a slight markup. There's this, there's that. You return this one. So you got to give credit. But look, it's 1.2, let's say $1.3 million over the course of a year is what she's what she's being sued for. How could you let your invoice get to that number is the question, right? You're invoicing every single month or every single thing. Look, you send a demand letter. You haven't paid. Where's my stuff? Where's my money? And just because you say, you know what, I think you overbilled by some, that doesn't excuse you from paying what was rightfully billed. So what she should do is make a payment for what she's not disputing and then go to court and fight the rest.
That's a good one. Let's go to you, Shatan, being the only female on the lawyer here. So this is what I'm hearing from the streets, because my ears are on the streets. Now the ear on the street is saying that there were times where she needed things rushed, she needed things pulled, she needed things shipped like overnight, like outside of the regular scope of services, and that started to build up because she was going from event to event to event to event, and they were charging the charges were also being made on a particular credit card. So tell me, from a celebrity standpoint, what advice would you give Megan in settling this lawsuit?
Well, first, I wanted to address Sean Carter's comment about that's how she got dropped or whatever. He cheated on her. I mean, first of all women are expensive. You just have to find one in your particular price point, Sean Carter. Hopefully Renee has not exceeded your budget. But anyway, I just want to get that together. Anyway, as it relates to Megan and kind of the claims and how she's going to defend against them, I think Jason has the right approach, right? It's clear that this person did represent her at some point, and so there's a lot of room between $1 million and zero, right? And so there's some amount that she does owe and some amount that she should account for. The challenge is that all of those things, like doing things above and beyond, it sounds above and beyond for me because I'm on this show and I get paid in love and smiles. But Megan is on the stage of the entire world and she's got to be on point each and every time she's in public. And that might involve overnight shipments and changes in wardrobes and multiple purchases. And so I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see if there was actually a contract that memorialized what was happening and what was going to be done for her, or if it was just purchase orders, or if it was just like, you're my friend, I like stuff, can you get it for me? A lot of the things, as you know, in Hollywood are informal when they really should be memorialized.
Right. You know, the issue for me, though, is $1.2 million. I think I agree with some of the people in the chat. Pay this man his money. Like, and I love the fact that Jason made the suggestion that the part that you are debating, you know, let that stand independent. But if you owe him literally $850,000, give him his money. It's just not fair. And to Attorney Carter's point, you know, he did claim, Clay did claim that, you know, she demanded that there was a certain amount of support, allegedly, right? Because this is all hearsay, that she needed money or she needed financial support from him in addition to what she makes, which I thought would be enough, in order to date her. I don't know how true that is, but it sounds like there's some fire here, there's some smoke here for a reason. If you ask me, like, first of all, go ahead.
There definitely is some fire behind the smoke, but I also, in Megan's defense, you know, sometimes people try to pimp celebrities and to get more than they're entitled to, and so if it was legitimately $1 million that was documented, I think her counsel would tell her to pay for it. So I think that like I said, there's room between 0 and $1 million. And because she's contesting it, she thinks she owes less than half at a minimum, right? Like you wouldn't fight if it was $850,000, you give me $850,000, you have a conversation about it. The rest of the 150. But my question is where did they get the resources to just be fronting all that kind of money? So I have that same question that Sean Carter did. Like, how did we get to $1 million? Right? It's not like it was a bunch of Harry Winston jewelry that they're talking about where that one amount cost $1 million. This is a series of events. So there's some questions I have.
I don't think $1 million has to do with clothing purchase. I think $1 million has to do with his fee as a stylist. And what happens in these circles is like he builds his business. He could have chosen to build his business off of Megan, which was very smart, right? Because when the Megan steps out, she looks like $1 million. Everybody wants to know who dresses her. And then in the celebrity world, what happens is everybody then uses you. So I would assume that the money is not from clothes that he purchased for her, but for his design, his styling fees. I think it would come from his styling fees. And I could see that being, you know, quite a hefty ticket because you have to put everybody on the back burner for that woman. I mean, you're constantly dressing her, looks like or feels like every single day. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on this, Attorney Carter? Does Megan have a problem here, or is this easily solvable?
I think she got a problem. And the problem is it costs $1.2 million to look good. My wife is foreign, and I dress her in Temu. So and by the way, she can find a cheaper gay man in Hollywood. All right, I know a brother who would do it for $25,000 a year, 26 maximum. Call me, Megan.
All right, what are your thoughts, Attorney Attorney Turner?
My thought is what you were just saying about how he could leverage it. I think that he has benefited from styling and buying clothes for her and by this lawsuit with all this free publicity. So hopefully that'll reduce what she has to pay him out of pocket.
Well, I disagree on that. Let's go to you, Jason. You know this well. You've represented a few celebrities. Once you get stained in the media as a person who works with celebrities but sues them, no celebrity wants to touch you later. So what would be your advice to this young man?
To this young man, it would be, get all the receipts, show everything that you did, document that everything was done correctly, and just make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, because now it's already out there. You can't put the cat back in the bag. So you might as well make it so that if you're suing for 1.2, you're walking away with $1 million because you're entitled to it.
Right. I think you're right. All right. From invoices to a denial so strong, it's basically a counter punch. Yep. This is going to be an interesting story to cover tonight. Next up, Kristina Khorram. You guys know who she is. She worked for Diddy for it has been almost 12 years, but she worked for him for 11 years. Now, Kristina Khorram, TMZ reports, she's denying claims in a lawsuit by a former employee, Philip Pines, and asking the judge to dismiss, saying there's no evidence tying her to the alleged misconduct. Now, I want to be clear, this alleged misconduct. This case is dangerous because the internet loves right-hand person narratives. But guess what? In this court, we love proof. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Tell me exactly what's going on. Now, what usually wins an early dismissal attempt, if I'm not mistaken, is lack of specific facts, right? Lack of causation or lack of legal insufficiency. Does she have this in this case?
She is going to claim all of these. She probably can only get away with a couple of them. And let me explain. So this guy, Philip Pine, is not one of the people that had been made to get into the baby oil tub. He's a guy who was just sitting on the sideline and he saw some things that he thought were violent. And he says, he went to Kristina and said, "Hey, Diddy's out of control." And she said, "Hey, mind your business. All right, don't snitches get stitches. You want to work here? Shut the hell up." And so he said, "Fine." And he's saying that created a hostile work environment. He wasn't subjected to any of this abuse, but he saw it and it kind of hurt it, made him feel bad. And so now she's entitled to the money. Her defense is, "Look, I was here. I didn't know. I was just, basically signing invoices. I just thought that they had a lot of ashy kids at the parties. I didn't realize the baby oil was used for anything else. I was just, set up the hotel rooms and getting them clean. I didn't know what was going on either. We both victims here." Mm-hmm. That's going to be a hard argument for her to win, because if she's right about that, she is the worst executive in the history of the world. That's right. Because we all knew what Diddy was doing, but she doesn't know, right? And so she's got to plead incompetence, or she could plead legal insufficiency. What she could say is, "You're absolutely right. I knew it was freaky. I enjoy my freak off too. But here's the thing: is you didn't get hurt. You just out there watching it. All right. You don't have a cause of action for sexual harassment. You were too ugly. Nobody wanted you. All right. So, you stayed dry. So I don't know what your problem is. The problem is in California, that's a hard argument to make, because remember, sexual harassment is either, somebody trying to push up on you or just subjecting you to a hostile work environment. And making people, watch the baby oil parties is probably, it's at least aggressive, if not hostile.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this, Attorney Weiss, because I got to be honest. She was chief of staff. She was a senior executive. For her to bark this, "I don't know, I wasn't a part of that." First of all, that's not even how a celebrity chief of staff works. You know his whereabouts 24/7. You're the point of contact. You know everything he's doing. If no one else he'll answer the phone for, including his girlfriends or kids, he will answer for his chief of staff. How do plaintiffs typically try to attach liability to a staffer in this case, especially when she's claiming she didn't have any knowledge, she was not in command like that? Do they go to emails, texts? What do they look for? The "I don't have knowledge" and "I didn't know", that's all BS, right? That's a smokescreen. That's to try to go ahead and say, "Focus over here, look over here. There's nothing over here to see," right? But what Attorney Carter hit on, that is the argument. I don't know how Pines
shows he was injured by this, right?
Okay.
Pine was not injured. Pines was not hurt. Pines doesn't have damage. Now, look, there are certain allegations that I read looking into this story about, like I think I read something about the improper insertion of an IUD for another woman. Now, that woman with the IUD that was inserted by this chief of staff, she's got a claim. But how does Pines have a claim for anything related to it? I saw it and I'm going to go ahead and sue for it. You should have known. Like, these are all things that he really does not have much of a leg to stand on. And I'll be very curious to see. I think she wins the motion to dismiss without prejudice, meaning that he can continue to file, he can amend it, he can clean it up and try again. But I don't think the judge is going to give him much leeway.
All right, before I go to you, Attorney Turner, let's go down in the chat because Afra Singh said something that I would like to know if it's true. She's saying being subjected to the explicit behavior of your superior while attempting to do your job constitutes sexual harassment as well. Is this true, Attorney Turner?
It might. So the standards for her sexual harassment are that you have to be subjected to severe and pervasive harassment. And so I would say if you are made to observe a unlicensed and unlawful medical insertion of a device and someone went inside of someone's vagina and you had to watch it, and your job was not in a gynecologist's office, then you probably would have a good chance of saying that you endured severe and pervasive treatment. So it's going to be in the details. But one of the things that the A-listers should know is the standard for all of the federal harassment interpretations, and they influence the state laws that are mirrored after the federal laws. They're all evolving in these current times. And so this will be determined based on the current law, and it's not as clean cut as it had been.
Attorney Carter, let me ask you this because we all know, Attorney Weiss, y'all could all chime in. When you are a chief of staff of someone like a P. Diddy, you can't tell this man no. It's not an option in your job. You can't. But why is this lady playing with this lady for JJ and putting stuff in her for JJ? Was she an employee and she couldn't leave work? Like, why is this woman doing this? And why are they doing it in front of another assistant? None of this is making any sense to me. Attorney Carter, can you give me some logic here?
I can't. Well, here's what I'm saying. And leave aside the amateur gynecology aside. The real issue for this executive for Khorram is she's not so worried about this lawsuit. Even if Pine wins, nobody's really gonna feel that bad for him. He saw crazy stuff at a Hollywood sex party. But the real problem she has is the people who are suing and saying, "Hey, I had to get into the baby oil pit." Right. And those people's cases are coming too. And so she's trying to set up this larger narrative that she's just a victim too. She was surprised when she found out too, because it's really important for those cases.
Got it. Okay, I got it. So this is, not that it's not serious, it's a strategy for her to separate herself from this whole Diddy thing. Okay, I can see that. But all right then, Attorney Turner, does she have something to be worried about? It sounds like there's some smoke here. I mean, it's definitely not visually, optically looking good for her. And I would just say in general, if this is her attempt to kind of to squash it, you ain't gonna be able to squash 11 years. And definitely not 5 of those 11, you were the chief of staff.
Well, she does have something to worry about. And the reason is because of her position, as you pointed out. I mean, we've been playing tongue in cheek with this chief of staff title. And I guess playing tongue in cheek in this circumstance is kind of like playing slide the baby oil. But the real thing is they're going to try, the employee's going to try to position her just like the woman in the Epstein trial, that she was not an outsider. She was an integral part of what was happening. She knew about it. She had duties, and she was part of the perpetuating of this unlawful enterprise, right? And so then if they can establish that, then it helps the employee say, hey, this is severe and pervasive. And then there's that downstream effect that Attorney Carter alluded to. And so what she's going to try to point out is, no, I was not integral. I just had a job. My job was to coordinate schedules, help him make decisions related to the record label. I don't know why anybody suggested that I went inside someone else's vagina.
Oh, all right. Let's get down into some of these comments. I think a lot.
Your Honor, I actually think we have a little bit of video for this as well before we get into the comments.
Oh, sure. Let's go. Bailiff, take it away.
Every predator has a partner. Epstein had Ghislaine Maxwell, and Diddy, multiple lawsuits suggest Kristina Khorram was his fixer, his gatekeeper, maybe even his handler. But what if I told you she didn't just coordinate the abuse, she allegedly participated in it as well? Khorram wasn't just a chief of staff. According to the civil lawsuit filed by Ashley Parham in federal court, Diddy ordered Kristina to insert an IUD into her. That's not a typo. He allegedly told Khorram to perform an invasive medical procedure on another woman. When that failed, Parham says Khorram and Diddy got into a physical altercation, and then Diddy removed it himself. Parham says he assaulted her with a TV remote control. All while Khorram stood by, allegedly threatening her, saying they could send her anywhere in the world and she would never see her family again.
So, Attorney Carter, you were right. Attorney Turner, you were right. The chick that they were doing it to has filed a civil lawsuit, we learn here. Okay, let's jump down into the chat. Afra Singh says, watching IUD being inserted is severe and perverse for a non-medical administrator. Vippa P says, Attorney Shaitan, you're unique as well. I Be the Shit said, Puffy was just too freaky. My goodness, this is too much. Okay, and Colette Davis says, this is just crazy. SL Warrior says she probably was high. Afra Singh says, if I walk into a meeting with the owner of a company and he tells me to help his girlfriend remove a stuck tampon, that's harassment. Ugh. Sandra McGee says, this crap is absolutely diabolical. Brenda K says, the only logic is not wanting to miss a paycheck. Yeah, a lot of people do a lot of crazy things. Esther Stone said, between this and the Epstein files, when will this be over? I don't think anytime soon. He's got a lot coming down the pipe. Risland 11 says she was making all the arrangements. You know she was. She had to be making the arrangements. All right. Everybody, before we move on, do me a favor. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. Invite some folks over to enjoy the show. As always, don't forget to turn on your notifications because we've added a new section in the show, or a new segment in the show called Human Interest. Can't wait to get to the nights. It's going to be exciting. As always, I also need you to follow me on Instagram, Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Trying to get to 200. Anybody want to help me, you can. And also, don't forget to drop your ideas of shows that or stories that you want to cover, or human interest stories that you want to cover. Make sure you drop down into the comments in my DM, slide into my DM. All right, everybody, from denials to a jury verdict that hit the tune of $13 million. Now, this is really interesting to me. Let's move on to Nichelle Nichols. Do you guys remember her? Let's see a picture of her. Nichelle Nichols. Now, TMZ reports a jury awarded Nichols' family and estate $13 million in a wrongful death lawsuit against a New Mexico medical center tied to her 2022 treatment. Now, when a jury gives a number like that, they're not whispering, they're screaming, hey, Mexico, you did something wrong. Attorney Carter, explain this to me. What exactly was going on, and how did they get to such a large number?
It was kind of surprising. So let's be clear what happened here. July 2022, Nicole Nichols feels some chest pains, says she has some shortness of breath. She goes to the hospital. And they look her in the hospital and they say, girl, you just got, indigestion. You stay off the pig's feet. And they said, we're going to keep you for the night because, you got congestive heart failure. We'll keep you for the night, but we'll just watch you. Next morning, they say, you look good, girl. Go on home. And sadly, 7 hours later, she has a massive heart attack and dies that day. What? And so her family sued and says, hey, you guys didn't treat my mother well at all. You didn't treat her at all. You sent her home to die. And the jury looked at this in the case that they filed against the hospital. And they said, you're absolutely right. All right, this was wrong. They assigned fault here. They said the hospital was 40% at fault. The treating physician is 60% at fault. But they said, look, the hospital, you guys owe $13 million, and they split it up and said $7.8 million for it's not the hospital's fault. The hospital's fault is only $5.2 million. Now that is even worse than that is the fact that in New Mexico, there's a law that says for a county hospital, you can only get $400,000 for non-economic damages. So she's not going to get $5.2 million from the hospital. Her family gets $400,000 from the hospital. Now, what's going on with the doctor? They sued him separately in a different suit. They sued the doctor and the staffing company and all that in a separate suit. That's coming up the pipe. But they're going to have to redo this whole thing again to see how much they get from them. And the jury is not going to be bound by this verdict. And $13 million was a little high because this wasn't punitive damages. They said that her life was worth $13 million. And when you're 89 years old, that's kind of a hard, sell. And so we're going to see what happens with the next jury. But it's probably not going to, the headline was much better, right, than it's probably going to turn out.
All right, Attorney Wise, let me ask you this. How do hospitals usually defend standard of care or unavoidable outcomes? Because I feel like we hear this story a lot, and I need to make a correction. This is in New Mexico, the state, not Mexico, the country. But how do hospitals usually defend the standard of care, or especially when, what's the causation challenges here?
I mean, this is a tough one, but I guess they did a good enough job, going ahead and showing that if it weren't for the improper diagnosis, if it wasn't for somebody looking the other way, if it wasn't, then she would still be here with us today. So what I don't understand is if you're an attorney in New Mexico and you know that there is some statutory limit on what you can get from a governmental or state industry, then why didn't you just settle with the hospital or the state, take the 400, which you knew was the cap, and then go after the doctor for the rest? Like something wasn't done right. And I'm not sure, if they read a statute wrong. I'm not sure if this is not something they do. But look, when you sue, you need to know, especially for a state or government agency, the cap on liability. It's there. And you should have known that it was $400,000 right from the get-go. So something either wasn't great about the case. They're trying to go after the doctor. They thought the jury would, cut the two in half. I don't know, but it's something just it's not sounding right to me.
So, Attorney Carter,
let's be clear.
Let me ask you this, Attorney Carter. What happens after a verdict like this then? Because this is civil, right? So what happens after that? Is there appeal? Is there settlement pressure? Is there collection?
Hopefully not. Well, hopefully not, because both of them, as Attorney Weiss has mentioned, probably have already spent more than $400,000 in legal fees. It's hard to understand why this lawsuit, why the hospital didn't just settle for the $400,000, right? Why they're just not writing $400,000 checks all the time. Now, but to be clear, though, the lawyer there did file a different lawsuit against the doctor. And so that is going to go forward. And so they're going to try to get their money there. This case just happened to be resolved faster, probably because it wasn't as complicated. But as far as this, the real interesting question is, like I said, it's like, why, so is anybody going to appeal? Hopefully not. Like I said, they've already spent way more money than this, probably on legal fees. Pay out that money and, and let them move on to really going after the doctor here.
All right, let's go to Brenda K in the chat. She says, this kind of thing happens a lot more than people think. We just don't hear about it. I agree with you, Brenda K. I know a lot of older people that this story just sounds like something that I've heard 100 times before. She says, we just don't, we just don't hear about it. The medical profession sucks now. And then P. says, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Alfred sings, maybe their suit isn't falling under the limits. I don't know. That chick, 197, somebody in the chat, fill me in. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the lady from Star Trek. Let's put her picture back up there really quickly. This is who we call, what's her name? Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek. I just thought she was beautiful back in the day, baby.
She was. Sure, she was fly. She was a good-looking older woman too.
And also,
I was going to say,
made history. I think she was one of the first Black female actors to have. Yeah, it's like. What were you saying, Attorney Turner?
She was one of the first Black women in space.
What I was saying was two things. One, sometimes the lawyers get it wrong. I remember I had a case when I still practiced employment law, and the way that the federal employment law statutes work, you get different limits depending on the number of employees you had. And the lawyer just completely miscalculated and thought we had more employees than we did. And so that's one of the reasons why they didn't want to settle beforehand. And it wasn't until we got to mediation that they were educated about actually the size of the employee. It was a very well-known company, and they assumed they had more employees, and they didn't. The other thing is that the med mal structure sometimes is a little bit tricky because you have the primary limits that the cases have coverage for under the insurance system of the state, but that doesn't mean that the health systems don't have excess insurance on top of that might result in there being a larger verdict than might be intuitive if you don't practice in that area.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I also wanted to share, I wanted to bring this up because Afra Singh said MLK told her not to quit Star Trek because her representation meant so much. I remember that interview. I loved that interview where she definitely was thinking about quitting. She was going through some stuff or whatever. And Martin Luther King asked for a meeting with her and told her, or saw her out in an event or something. I can't remember the whole thing, but told her that she could not quit, that young black and brown kids all over the country were looking at her, and she was a positive example for them. All right, that chick 197, thank you for the super chat right here. Let's put that super chat up, please, producer. Love this show. Thank you, that chick 197. We'll take it. All right, and SL Warrior says she kissed Captain Kirk. Big deal back in the day. It sure was. That was a huge deal. And then Tori 0810 says, happy birthday, Al. Make sure you turn up, lay it low, and spread it wide. You already know I'm going to lay it low and spread it wide. All right, everybody. From medical accountability, we're going now to family court where the fight is about time and control. All right, our fourth case of the night, everybody, is who? Chris Brown. Now, Chris Brown is pushing back in a custody battle. TMZ reports Diamond Brown sought primary custody and proposed visitation for Chris. Chris responded seeking joint custody. And custody cases are never just emotional. They are about calendars, routines, and leverage. All right, really quickly, let's go to you. Oh, wait, what? Is that another super chat?
Yes, it is.
Another super chat, RQMJ. GJDS1111. Come on in here. Another super chat. Look what Caramel 1977 has set off. It's my birthday. If y'all want to send me a super chat and pay for a drink or two, drop down in that super chat right now. Happy and blessed birthday. Thank you so much. All jokes aside, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love and the support. Now, anybody else want to send a super chat before I keep going?
Maybe you do something strange.
Y'all can definitely do that if you like. All right, everybody, let's go to you, Attorney Carter, really quickly. This is very interesting to me, Attorney Carter, because for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm mistaken, my understanding is Chris Brown's got a new girlfriend. And this new girlfriend's been posting, and she's just happy to be in the party, and he loves her, and the baby mama ain't feeling it. And so they go back and forth. And because they go back and forth, it's my understanding, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, listeners drop down in the chat. Well, because of that, she now is trying to cause him a little bit of a problem. Oh, that chick 197. Happy birthday, L. Is that another $20? I'll take it. I'll take it. Hey. All right, Attorney Carter, give me the details about this nonsense. And is she being petty or is she being petty?
I'm not going to accuse a woman of being petty. That woman's fine, but I am going to say this, all right? They had their baby together in 2022, all right? For 4 years, she's been living baby boy style. No formal agreement, no child support. She just come over with a bag of money every once in a while, right? You pick up the kid, do whatever they do and leave, all right? And then you said, as of recently, that's not okay with her anymore. So in May, she filed a petition seeking the determination that she would have sole, physical, and legal custody of the baby. And also, she needs to start getting her child support in real adult amounts, in real adult time, right? With official order. And the reason sole custody is important is because sole custody gives you more money every month than if you have joint custody. Right, and joint visitation, and just so we're clear, the difference between the two is when you have sole, custody, legal and physical, it means you are the mama in you the HMIC, head mama in charge. You control everything. Where the kid go to school, where they get the ears pierced, right? Whether they have to wait the full half hour after eating before getting back in the pool. All right, you make all the decisions. All right. When you daddy and you have visitation, you're not really daddy. That kid can say to you, I don't have to listen to you. You ain't my daddy, because you ain't. You a visitor. You Uncle Fred who come and bring them and take them Chuck E. Cheese every once in a while. Right. And so Chris said, hey, I'm gonna have joint custody here. I don't really want the baby so much, but I do want to pay less money and to not have her talking trash in my face. So that's really what the fight's gonna be about.
Okay, but this is my thing is, right? Because allegedly Jada, the new girlfriend, got into the conversation by saying that homegirl is keeping Lovely, right? Diamond is keeping Lovely from Chris. It's all started over social media. So let's go to you, Chris. Let's go to you, Jason. What do judges actually care about most? Because I thought we've talked about this on this show before. It's stability, it's involvement, it's cooperation. How are you going to get that from Chris Brown, who just started a new tour, who's out of the country a whole lot? There's no stability there. There's no involvement there. There's no cooperation except for when he's off the road and back home.
So look, I took family law for 1 semester in law school, and that was enough. And I only remember one thing. What is the best interest of the child? So that's what the court is going to look at. What is in the best interest of this 4-year-old child? Is it having joint custody, having her have sole custody and him visitation? Is it he can gallivant around the world and do what he wants to do, and when he's back, then they have joint custody? I don't know. But what the judge is going to look at is what is in the best interest of that 4-year-old. Everything else is nonsense. The judge doesn't care, and the judge is going to focus on that one question.
Okay, let me ask you this, Attorney Turner. How much does public narrative matter? Is from what Jason's saying, it doesn't, right? But we know who Chris Brown is. We know how busy he is. We know what his schedule is because we see it lived every day, right? So how important is this?
Well, the public narrative in this chat right now is all about your birthday, because you got another one from Nisha Phillips, and so she's celebrating you.
No, I got Brenda K too. I was going to get back to that. When you finish with this right here, we'll go to my little super chats.
But yeah, so it all matters, right? The best interest of the child standard that Jason Attorney Weiss was discussing will be used to determine which parent is best. So the court is predisposed these days to trying to maintain parental rights of both. That being said, having primary legal and physical custody does not exclude the other parent from visitation. So it doesn't mean that they don't have a relationship. It might mean that they might call Chris Uncle Daddy instead of actual daddy. I don't know. Sean Carter seemed to have more experience with that. But just by seeking sole legal and physical doesn't mean it's a movement to exclude him. One reason she might be doing that, other than the fact that this messy girlfriend has her name in her mouth, for A-listers, let me just say, one surefire way to invoke the wrath of the mother of the child is to have your girlfriend up there talking about things that aren't their business. But the thing that is at play here is this is a very young child, and there are certain decisions that have to happen as a matter of course. And even though in theory, people are like, oh, 50-50. 50-50 is really a complicated way to raise a child when you have to go to the other parent to get permission for everything.
Right.
And so in this case, I think the judge, as it evaluates best interest, will look at how has it been functioning so far. Okay. So if it's been a baby boy situation where she was getting a bag of cash here and there, and the baby was really with her all the time, and the only reason Chris is disputing it is because he's trying to reduce the amount of child support he's paying, then the judge might call bullshit on that and say, look, just leave the baby where it is and give Chris visitation. It could be liberal visitation. Primary legal custody is about decision making. Primary physical custody is about where does the baby sleep.
Got it. Okay. All right. Chris, I don't know, buddy. You might be firing at the wrong shots right now, or maybe the baby mama's firing the wrong shots, but who cares? Because I'm getting a super chat from Brenda K. Brenda K. Thank you so much. Brenda K., thank you so much for your super chat. With all this money flowing tonight, Your Honor, you better do your best impression of a James Brown split. Get on the poll. Now, wait a minute. Do you want me to split or the poll? Which one you want? Nisha Phillips, thank you so much for the super chat. Nisha Phillips, thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, we still have Thursday, so save some of your money. I love it.
It's going to be your birthday from now on, Your Honor. Every show.
But seriously, everyone, thank you so much. Let's get in some of these chats. That chick 197 says, they know the career he has. Not fair to give her sole custody for that reason alone. Interesting. Okay. That's an interesting thought. That chick 197 also said, I love a good Shaitan joke. I know her jokes are funny. All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. All right, we're going from a pivot to a human interest story because this one is about trust in the system. Can't wait for you guys to hear this mess right here. Now, the YouTube short headline says, a federal judge had sex in chambers with a police officer and lied about it. Now, AP and Reuters report an investigation found an unnamed federal judge had an extramarital affair with a high-ranking officer, including sex in chambers. Audio, the staff recorded it, and initially she denied it. Yet the discipline has been a private reprimand. We're going to get down and try to unpack all this. Now, this is where the public gets angry, not because judges are human, but because accountability feels optional. Bailiff, take it away. Let's see. We got a little video that we would need you to see about this. That old man is tearing that lady up. What type of sex are they having? My goodness, what? The judge got so many questions here. What type of sex were they having? B, when's the last time she had sex? It sounded like it was her first time or something. And C, what is he carrying beyond a baton and a gun? My Jesus, what is going on? Attorney Carter, you got to help me out here because it don't make no sense that a grown woman married with kids be making all that damn noise when she getting a little piece in the chamber.
I don't get no part. I don't understand no part of that. I think Chaos God 1989 might have explained it because it sounded like either that or there was some gerbils or something going on in there. I don't know.
More like guinea pigs, not gerbils.
Yeah, it must be something. But
What kind of baton toting chief of police is that? My goodness.
Here's a crazy part to me, though, right? Is that in addition to doing it in your office in the middle of the day, by the way, how is noon that sexy in the courthouse, right? And by the way, girl, you really need to, how to say this, put a little more value on the Tootsie Cat because he obviously didn't take, what did he take you to, Chipotle's? Right, he didn't take you to Roof Chris. All right, come on, at least get something for it. All right, but worse than that though, he's the Atlanta deputy chief of police. All right, and so she's got a huge problem to the extent that people from the police, people from the police ever appear before her. Unfortunately, she's in federal court, so probably they don't have a lot to do with each other. But the real issue here is he getting preferential treatment not only in chambers, but also in court when his agents come testify and all of that type of stuff. And so, she had some problems. The weird part to me, though, was they investigated it. Saw apparently the same video we probably saw, and we're like, sound right to me? She must have been in there playing, they must have been playing Uno. And that's how, y'all black people are. You playing
Bailiff,
dominoes and you slapping and you get crazy.
all right, hold on. Bailiff,
Fades.
let me see that video one more time because I want to see these workers in the hallway because allegedly they say, listen, this isn't the first time that she and he have done this. Bailiff, take it away. I need to know what the Jimmy Crack Corn is going on. Attorney Weiss, is this what they're doing in the chambers these days at work?
Maybe in the courthouses in Atlanta, but not here in Florida. It is the 11th Circuit, which is Georgia, Alabama, and Florida, but I don't know. But I can tell you this. This investigation started as an anonymous one, and they were trying to keep this penalty of the judge under wraps, but it came out. Now we know her name. Now we've seen her picture. We've seen the officer's picture. And this is all going to boil down to what kind of preferential treatment is she giving the police or a bailiff that's in her courtroom or, anything else. And this is not a good look. Plus, I don't understand screaming like that. How could she not know? I mean,
right.
Is everybody deaf there? I mean, that's I don't know. I don't know. I'm blushing for her.
Well, Nisha Phillips is it. Nisha Phillips says that was Mandingo. Okay. And Shaitan agreed. Oh, y'all's just so nasty.
I'm gonna borrow a line from When Harry Met Sally.
Okay.
I'll have what she's having.
You're just so, oh my God, order in my court. Order in the court. I think you're going out, or is that me going out? Anyway, okay, Sean Carter, though, on a serious note now, what's the difference here? Because it seems like there has to be some type of ethics violation. Or is there any criminal conduct here? Like, separate, I don't know, something
Now,
like.
right. So if this was a state proceeding, we have this all the time. If you're a state judge and you get caught having, a relationship with a prosecutor or even a public defender, you get in a lot of trouble because, you violate the state ethics rules about impartiality, et cetera. This is a federal judge. And so as a result of that, she's got a lifetime tenure. And the only way to get rid of a federal judge is not through any state disciplinary hearing, but through federal impeachment. All right. Gotcha. You have to actually go to the federal court to do this. And they looked at it and they were like, we don't have time for this. The weird thing, though, is what's the interesting thing is maybe the reason it's coming up now is because she is actually one of the judges that the administration is trying to get recused with regard to the Fannie. What's her name? Fannie. With regard to the what's her name?
Oh, no.
Fannie Willis case.
Yeah.
There's an elections battle, and they're saying, "Hey, we don't want her on that because she's black and she probably tell the truth." So we would like to get her off, and we're now going to use this information because she.
Well, they definitely embarrassed her to death on this. All right, we got to keep it moving, guys.
And really she got off.
On. All right, I want to give a super chat to Ali God 321. Thank you so much for the super chat. She's going to wake the neighbors, baby. She's waking everybody. She's waking the dead with all that hollering and screaming she got going on. All right, everybody, this is the part that we go to you, the jury, to check the pulse. We need to know what's going on. Final deliberation room. That's you, the jury room. We're going to know the verdict, guilty or not guilty. Now's the time that we decide who's guilty and who's not guilty. First up, we have Megan Thee Stallion. Is she guilty or not guilty of paying her wardrobe and styling fees? Is Megan Thee Stallion guilty or not guilty of not paying her stylist and wardrobe fees? Drop down in the chat. Is Megan Thee Stallion guilty or not guilty? Guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Guilty. Rizlan 11 says guilty. Colette Davis says guilty. And Caramel 1977 says guilty for lying on Tory. All right, Megan Thee Stallion, welcome back. And guess what? You've been found guilty. Guilty is charged. Pay that man his money. Khorram. All right, is Khorram guilty or not guilty for participating in Diddy's alleged freak-offs Drop down in the chat. Is Khorram guilty or not guilty after serving as chief of staff for 4 years and working for him almost 12? Is she guilty or not guilty? Brian and Simone Adams says guilty. SL Warrior says guilty. We need one more guilty plea for Khorram. Khorram not guilty for over $1 million. Okay. Says guilty as baby oil. All right, Khorram, you've been found guilty here for having court of public opinion for proximity, if nothing else. Next up, Nichols. Nichols' verdict is that hospital guilty or not guilty of providing her with great medical attention. Is Nichols hospital and doctor guilty or not guilty? Brenda Kay says guilty all the way. Is the hospital guilty? Sandra McGee says Megan's not guilty. Sorry, Sandra. Is the hospital and medical doctor? SL Warrior says guilty of messing with our #1 star in Star Trek, Miss Nichols. One more, guilty or not guilty. Is the hospital guilty or not guilty? Essie Stone says guilty. All right, we've been found guilty. Hospital, you've been found guilty here in the case with Miss Nichols. Next up, Chris Brown. Is he guilty or not guilty? Is Chris Brown guilty or not? Well, what would he be guilty of? Well, let's just say, is it fair for him to get joint custody or visitation? What's fair? Should he get joint custody or visitation? Drop down in the chat. Should Chris get joint custody or should he get visitation? Drop down in the chat. What do you think? Should Chris Brown get joint custody or visitation? Drop it in the chat. What's fair? What do you think? Should he get joint custody or should he get visitation? Caramel 1977 says joint custody.
Damn.
Chick 197 says joint, and Colette Davis says joint. Guess what, Chris Brown? You are receiving joint custody from Celebrity Court of Public.
You know he gonna be smoking a joint that whole time during the custody, right? Y'all know that, right? This is breezy, right? Y'all, all right, go ahead.
He's gonna be like, here, let me pass. I got custody of the joint.
Really, cause Attorney Turner, which case tonight is the messiest morally?
Chris Brown's case is pretty messy, in my opinion. You know, I have a trigger when it comes to battles. And I think that this whole thing just is emblematic of like problems with families. He moved on, found another woman, knocked her up too, and now he's harassing the other baby mama by trying to say that he wants custody of the baby when he doesn't. He doesn't really want custody.
He just wants to join.
Attorney Carter, which case tonight is messiest legally?
That would have to be the Khorram case with Diddy's assistant, Ghislaine Maxwell. There's so much going on there. You know, we got to see who's doing who, and that case is going to be a lot of different issues because not everybody has the same problem. Some people were, getting freaked off. Some people were getting freaked on. Some people had to watch it. Some people had to go clean it up. Everybody's got a different angle, right, of what happened to him and, how bad it was. And, really the only people that agree are Diddy that it was fun.
All right, let's go to you, Attorney Weiss. Last but not least, which case was the loudest?
I don't know. I think I need the help from the bailiff on that one. But yeah, we all know.
One more time.
Public interest story. That says it all. The defense rests its case, Your Honor.
Oh, Jesus. All right, tonight's lesson is
Every
simple.
woman in America
Receipts beat reputation. Denials don't win. Proof does. Juries put a dollar amount on accountability, and custody fights are about structure and not fame. And the justice system, when you're getting your Tootsie Cat turned out, it is only trusted when accountability feels real. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and this has been Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications and go follow us at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion on Instagram right now. And then drop the next case that you want on our docket, including our human interest story. Everybody, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Thank you for all the super chats. I really appreciate it. Court is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.